honouring all the myths and stories, all the failures, all the glories, stepping boldly forth into this eternal moment. Are you ready? Are you ready? Everybody and everything is one.
Well, it is lovely to be here with you. How about that? For a bit of kicking techno to start us off in the meditative mode. Because Taoism is all about contrast and paradox, contradiction and the accommodation of the yin and the yang, the contraction and the expansion, the small and the big. I was standing gazing at Sirius, the star that is 8.6 light years away from us, and which the Egyptians called Isis. And like the big goddess she was thought of as, and for which the shaft that goes from the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid is angled to conduct a stream of blue light from Sirius, because it appears to be a blue light, through which the pharaoh's soul was able to travel home. That's what is considered to be home to a what do you call it, a race of aliens far advanced of us. Obviously, alien comes from the word alter, from the Latin, meaning other. So it just means they're different. And all the ancient cultures, including even the Western one that's alluded to in our own creation myth, so to speak, the Genesis in the Bible, mention these visitations from some planet or other around that star. It's a binary star system. And the Taoists, also the ancient Taoists, who were not people to be, who were easily swayed by the romantic notion. They were really pragmatic, absolutely versed in the metaphysical realm, but in an absolutely pragmatic way. It was as near to modern quantum physics as you could get in a system. And in fact, I highly recommend a book by Fritjof Capra, the quantum physicist, written in the mid-70s, called The Tao of Physics, in which he shows quite clearly the correlation between Taoism and quantum physics. With that aside, it was twinkling away at me. The Taoists, they recommend many uses of this blue light, this a sort of psychic merging with whatever life form is there. For healing purposes and for manifesting purposes and for all sorts of things. It's not the only one of their techniques. And if you were at the Blue Lotus satsang sequence at all, that's what we were playing with there. So I occasionally, when I see it in the sky, nice and clear, I happen to be outside, I'll always stand and salute it, so to speak. So I just stood there, just stand there, and I allow its light to come into my eyes. And occasionally when I do that, I get a kind of revelation, a sort of a message or a sense of being communicated with, and quite often actually. It's very similar. It makes me think of when you're on a bay. You're at one end of a bay, a large bay in the sea, the coast, and you look across the bay to the town 20 miles away across the bay or whatever, twinkling at night, all its lights twinkling. You can't really prove that there's anybody there, but you know there is. You just see it because you can see the light, and you get a sense that there's people there, and there's a feeling to that. Very similar when not every time, but when I focus on it, when I look at Sirius. And if you know me, you also know that I'm not given to the romantic notion myself. I'm far from it, to the contrary. Though this is one that I've always felt, it's been just natural to me. That as may be, it doesn't really matter, that's just my personal experience. But what I got as it was twinkling away at me, transmitting whatever messages its light encodes, I was feeling that primal urge to explore to the furthest reaches of space. It's exactly what informs the space programs. And, we have this innate urge to explore space, whether it's the space around us on a local level, what's over the next hill or mountain range, or what's on the moon, what's in Mars, what's beyond our solar system, and so on and so forth. And, of course, it's driven by profit motive and the need to kind of gain ascendancy over another nation or group or whatever by being further ahead in the space game, and all of that stuff we know. But there's something beneath that, more of a primal urge, just to explore. It's the urge that is innate to all nature, to reach out and grow, to expand. Eventually it reaches its zenith, and then it goes back the other way. It retracts again. That's the yin and the yang. And I think that it occurred to me that that urge is because instinctually at the deep level we know that what we all are expressions of, manifestations of this prime cause of existence and non-existence, the black holes as well as the rest of it. What the Chinese call Tao. You could call it the all that is, the big presence. It doesn't matter what you call it, these are just names. They're not important in themselves. We call it God in the West, but that's loaded, so it's probably misleading to use that word these days. It's loaded with all religious connotation. This is without any of that. There's no flavour to it. There's no story around it. It just is the isness. And we instinctively, all of us, despite whatever religious training or non-religious training we've had, no matter what spiritual path or discipline, or if we do at all follow, we instinctively, all of us know that we are this. And therefore there's an urge to reach out, to be everywhere, all at once, because we're urging towards that, to be in the big presence. The irony, of course, and this is what not only the Tao said it, I hope he said it as well. I know Grandfather David, he's not dead, but he was the elder of the Hopi tribe when the moon thing happened, when we allegedly, I mean, I don't know if we really did, but if we landed on the moon, which I think we did, he said, well, yeah, it's great, but I mean, you don't need to go. We go to the moon every day, you know, without a spaceship. It's just, we are part of the whole thing. You just be with it. And the Taoists feel the same. They said that inner space is every bit as real and is constructed identically to outer space. And this is something that the quantum physicists have come to recently. This is right at the cutting edge of their explorations as well. And that's what we're doing here in the satsang. Quirkily named because it's of a discipline that isn't Taoist. This is from the Sanskrit, from the yogic system from India, satsang, which I borrowed, and I think I'm entitled to. We all are anyway. Why not? The Hindu religion is very generous and it's not exclusionist. It doesn't cut anyone out. Anyone's welcome to come to a temple and to chant and to pray and do all that stuff. That's what makes it really stand out. I don't know any other religion that does that. Someone suggested Buddhism, but that's not a religion really. It's a system. And because I've done yoga for decades as well, and I'm quite well versed in the Eightfold Path of yoga too, because it's very similar to the Taoist thing. I feel like I can say it if I want. So satsang, and it means here we are together, sitting in our truth. We are dropping all our usual social devices, our act, our behavioral patterns, our quirks, our mannerisms, all our little signals that we do to be included, to establish our place in the group, and all of that stuff that we do without even thinking about it, and all animals do. We drop all that, and we just become, we have this luxury afforded us by the miracle of technology to just become, be ourselves, our true selves. And what Taoism, you could say about 8 or 10, maybe more, different things about what Taoism is, and all of them would be accurate. One of the what Taoisms is a path back to your true nature. And your true nature is that aspect of you that is unsullied or unaffected by any conditioning received in this material world. So it's independent of all your training, all your experience as a person in the world, all your memories, all your hopes, your fears, your complexes, insecurities, glitches, and all the rest of it. It's the part that sits behind all of that, literally, physically inside the body, in your back, and bears witness to the person going through the throes of the ups and downs and ins and outs and all the rest of it that come with living on the earth. And true nature encapsulated as it is, or informing each of us from deep within, is the true nature. It's the nature that makes the flowers grow, that makes the fire come out of volcanoes, that makes planets naturally orbit a sun, that makes, even fascinatingly, the asteroid that passed by Earth last week, and it was one that was as big as a mountain, had its own moon orbiting around it as it was whizzing along. This is nature. That's what I'm talking about, true nature. And when we can come back to that part of ourselves, not conceptually, not as an intellectual conceit, but tangibly, viscerally feel ourselves, and this is what Taoism gives us the tools to do, it sets everything in perspective. And not only does it do that, it enables us to see what we are actually intending. See, intention is a difficult thing to talk about, because we're doers. We're trained in the doing paradigm, in the achieving paradigm, and therefore we assume that we have to, and I say it myself because it's hard to find the words, we have to create or develop the intention, clarify, formulate the intention. In fact, what we have to do is discern the intention that's occurring, because we all have one. And rather than try and make one, you have to find out, what am I actually intending here? And then you hone it, then you adjust it. Once you can access it, you then adjust it. And as soon as you adjust it more to what would work in your life now, rather than what might be driven by an unconscious program that you've not attended to maybe all your life, the reality externally reflects that back at you by conforming to your intention. And this only happens, though, when the intention is crystal clear. In other words, you're not deceiving yourself or pretending to yourself that it's something else because you think that would be a good intention to have. You're actually with what you're intending, and you've honed it so that it's got all the glitches out of it as much as can possibly be. And then reality will conform to that. This is the essence of what we call magic. Now, when, as Jesus said, two or more of us congregate with a somewhat united focus, an intention that has been somehow joined as a team, if you like, the power of each individual who's in that group, the power of their intention will be exponentially multiplied by however many people are joining together in that moment. And so we have the capacity to shift at, should we call it the subatomic invisible level, the actual warp and weft of existence, reality, the collective reality that we've somehow mysteriously conjured up together, that we live in. And this is a very increasingly crucial time for us to make such interventions. There will be people who will go, well, that's just pie in the sky thinking. And honestly, I feel so myself at times. Or there's an aspect of me that always feels that. The skeptical, materialistic aspects of me also goes, oh, come on, you know, that's all just nonsense. But I've seen it happen again and again and again and again. And I've seen meta shifts occur in the world that were unexpected ones, seemingly, I can't prove it, as a result of these sorts of interventions. And if we just take it back from the macro level and just look at each of us as individuals, I know from the feedback, huge amounts of feedback over the 4 years we've been doing this, that attendance at in these circles instigates an increased flow of what we think of as serendipity, magic, synchronicity, opportunities just coming at exactly the right moment, things turning unexpectedly, and life working much more smoothly and more elegantly as a result. And so we're doing good for the world when we do this, and we're doing good for ourselves as well, but not in a selfish way, in a self-full way. This can only occur when, really fully, when the intervention is made from the true nature, that aspect of self that sits in the back, excuse me, and is not partial to one outcome or another. It understands that life is comprised of the yin and the yang, that things get difficult and they get easy and so on and so forth, and doesn't attach itself to preference for one or the other, because the thrill for the true nature is just to be true nature. It's just the urge to live and to experience. the gift of being. And it appreciates that. It doesn't need any validation from the external world to feel the gift of life. And when we learn to come into that part of ourselves more and more, likewise, we need less and less validation from external factors, achievements, people respecting us, lauding us, loving us, and doing whatever. It all comes very simply down to, we love being here. Being here is the gift. We love it. And in that love, there's such a radiance of energy that all good things and all good people come to us naturally and spontaneously. So the intention then becomes something so simple, rather than the grasping, spiritually materialistic approach of, right, I'm going to manifest that job or that money or whatever. You just intend for everything to evolve with utmost elegance and beauty and seamlessness and smoothness and joyfulness for everyone involved. And it's as simple as that. And then your intention will guide you as to what needs to happen and what you need in your life. You don't have to think what you need. It will show you what you need. And then it will say, now what you need is to go and buy a thing, this thing, or get this program, or go here, or go phone that guy, or do this, or whatever. And you just do it. And then things start opening up for you. So that's the sort of the Taoist Wu-Wei approach to having a fully successful life in every respect. Meantime, a good friend of mine, Queen Esther of the North, has made a request. She says, it's my day of birth, Monday, that's tomorrow. Can I request a present? Include wildlife protection and freedom in your wonderful meditative magic, question mark, would I, in other words. She's really, at the moment, on a crusade to help save the elephants, the wild elephants, who are themselves now facing a mass extinction, or facing an extinction very imminently. And as any ecologist will tell you at the moment, we are in what's called a mass extinction scenario, which, alas, eventually means us too, unless we can possibly intervene and maybe reverse or at least attenuate the effects of that. And that's why I am keen to do these meetings, because we can, through our intention, possibly, let's just say possibly, there's a chance that we can affect things in that way. So happy birthday to you, dear Esther, for tomorrow. And yes, we are going to include the elephants and all wildlife and all sentient beings, even artificial intelligence, if that's sentient too. It doesn't matter what. Anything that's conscious, we're going to include all of it in this magic. So what we're doing here is for everybody. Scientists on Thursday, I think it was, these are the guys that get all their criteria from quite strict parameters. You know, they have moved the doomsday clock to 2 minutes to midnight now, based on one, global warming, sea level rises, and the threat of imminent nuclear conflict between NATO and Russia. These really are very, very, very poignant times we're in here. This is the privilege of being alive to see this dramatic adventure movie that we're in, the sci-fi movie that we're in. I mean, I don't know how much these tickets cost for us to come here for this show, but man, it's worth it. What a show. And we do, I truly feel, have the opportunity to make an intervention, because most people bury their heads in the sand and are just completely ignoring what's going on. That's fair enough. It's okay. Everyone has that right. However, what is the point of manifesting a beautiful life for yourself? Or can you even manifest one if the backstory to it all is a complete mess? So when we're talking about manifesting beauty in our lives, we must include all of our brothers and sisters around the planet. And truly, we can affect things. I've done it when I've been DJing, when I've been on the mic at a club, where surely people are not listening to what I'm saying as an intellectual thing, because they can't even probably hear most of it. But I can put a vibe out into a club, and I can see troubles kicking off, and I've done it, and I don't even have to say anything. And the atmosphere within a minute or so calms right down. Maybe it took the door guys to come and remove somebody, or it gets done, and it gets done neatly without anyone getting hurt. I've seen it again and again as a martial artist. I've calmed situations down without even speaking to anybody. I've seen it happen, and I know it can happen. So I feel it behooves me to promote this idea, at least. Everything that happens in our world starts with ideas. Well, aside from the weather. But anything that happens in our human world begins with an idea, whether it's industrialization, globalization, agriculture, war, peace, enlightenment, ignorance, whatever it is, it all starts with an idea, always actually with one person. And anything can be changed by changing the idea or by insinuating a fresh idea into the mix. And that's what we're really doing here. So be assured that this is not just some self-centered thing that you're into here. This is a joining with the angelic nature of many people all around the planet right now. And I say circle because I see it as like a circle of archangels in human form, or somehow attached to these human bodies for the time being, but free of those. We're like these huge archangels all the way around the planet, holding hands, protecting the planet and all the people and all the beings on it, the elephants as well. And that we are able in this mode to really do the healing miracle. And I'm going to actually take us through the pragmatic steps to get us into that state, so it won't just be like us imagining it. Now, the excitement, stroke anxiety, the worry, stroke coming to peace with things, the drama of all of this, and of just each of our local lives, of getting the work done in time, getting the bank to balance to not go over the overdraft limit, you know, your health, your relationships with people, all of this, the excitement, the anxiety, the stress of it all, the pressure of it all, is incredibly fascinating. It's riveting. And it draws us into the front of our bodies, and I'll explain why. The sense organs all face the front. Therefore, we perceive life as occurring in front of us. So when we think of our life, when you think of your life right now, and all the stresses and all the beauty and all the wonder and all the other stuff, you think of it somehow going on in front of you. It takes quite a bit of effort to imagine it going on behind you and all around you, above and below you. You just see it in front of you. And because it is so riveting, fascinating, exacting, and all the rest of it, it draws you forwards to meet it closer. You don't even realize it's happening. This happens very early on, probably around about when we start school or kindergarten. And the self, once it's situated in the front of the body, acquires the properties of the front of the body and of the front of the brain. These are a general weakness compared to the back, a vulnerability compared to the back, and a noisiness compared to the back. You have the noise of the organs and the bowels, the heart, the lungs, the peristaltic motion, and so on. You also have the emotional noise in the upper belly, the solar plexus area, of coming to terms with everything. Because, you know, when you're nervous, you feel it there. When you're excited, you feel it there. And most of the time, you're in a combination of nervy and excited. And the conflict of that constantly in the belly is a noise. And the thoughts that you have in the front of your brain incessantly, by which you describe what's going on to yourself, and you evaluate your position accordingly. It all goes on there in the front brain. It's noisy. And this is not where your power is. This is like you're running around like a headless chicken mode. And you can get cool with it. If you look at people today, especially the young generation, they look very cool at everything. People have made an art now of looking cool all the time. But it's a front. That's all it is. People are pretending. I can tell you that because I know, because I'm privy to people's stories all the time. And this front self is something we constructed in reaction to teachers, parents, peers, to gain approval, and certainly to avoid disapproval. So we learn, smile like this then, say hi like that, go yo like that, and then do all the stuff that we do. All of this stuff is confected, it's constructed. And it's what I meant by the pretense, the artifice of the social signaling. And this is not who we are, but we think it is. And the whole conflict and noise of the drama of being who we are, who we think we are, what's really going on and what we think's going on, we become that because that's all going on in the front. So we become drama. And you walk into your friend's place. Before you get there, you're in the car, you're thinking, you're on the bus, or wherever you're getting there, and you're thinking, how am I going to present myself to that? Oh, I know. I'm going to walk in with the story of, God, life's so difficult. God, you kind of, oh, wow, you go in with your story. You become that drama. And that's all well and good if you want to run around like a headless chicken and find your sustenance externally, which is really unreliable. However, The back part of you, that's everywhere rear of the side seams of your t-shirt, as it were, is relatively strong. It's not vulnerable, other than a little bit of softness around the kidneys, the back of the neck. It's relatively quiet unless you're farting, and there's not really any noise going on in the back of you at all. And you then acquire the properties of the back when you're in the back, which is that you become silent, you become strong, you become secure because you're not vulnerable. And in that mode, you're able to conduct your thought processes with a lot more clarity and order, and therefore enjoy each moment far more because it's not fraught with the panic of not quite knowing what to do or what's going on. More profoundly, however, the idea that your true nature, that which is expressed by your soul, your immortal spirit, the primordial original self, the background presence, the witness bearer, whatever you want to call it, that is in the back. It sits in the back watching. It's in the back of the brain and it's in the back of the body. And it just watches, delighted, exhilarated just to be alive. And it observes as the local self goes through its pain and its pleasure. And rather than go, ooh, no, don't go through that, and go, oh, well done, it doesn't do that. It just, how curious, how fascinating, how amazing, I'm here. The only thing that blocks that is self-pity. Oh, this shouldn't be happening. This is wrong. Should have this pain, should have this difficulty. Rather than acquiescing to everything. That is, yes, this is beautiful. This is the Tao manifesting. It looks shitty now. I know it's going to become gorgeous in a moment. That's how it works. And you only can exercise that true wisdom viscerally from the back of you. You can only set a clear intention in motion from the back of you. Otherwise, you're just pretending, and the results will be very, very temporary. That's why many people did the, whatever you call it, law of attraction and The Secret and all of that stuff, and had so-called beginner's luck, then it didn't work anymore. It's because you, for a moment, will cut through the noise, because it's something new to learn, and you'll do your bit of magic and it'll work. But then the old self, the noisy front self, takes over again. The habit's too strong, and the intention isn't coming from the deep part of you anymore, so it stops working. And being in the front weakens us. We're using so much energy being up there. Without being with our true nature, it's like a flower that has been picked. You're only going to live for so long in water. I know you're only going to live for so long in the ground, but you live a lot longer in the ground than you do in water, if you're a flower, that is. So that's what we're doing. That is what we're doing here. We are entering the realm of what you might call the spirit, the spiritual realm. Now, this has become a hackneyed phrase, spirituality. It's so overused that people really don't know what it means anymore. I resist using it myself because it's misleading now because it's been so used. And what does it mean anyway? It's quite vague. Does it mean you do tarot cards, that you do astrology, that you have psychic readings, that you meditate, that you pray, that you do sit in a healing circle, whatever? I don't know. But I do get what I talk about is metaphysics, the realm that sits above the physical and which controls the physical. That's what we're dealing with here. It's a much more precise term. But the word spirit is a lovely word, and the Taoists use it a lot. We have an immortal spirit body lying latent until we activate it. This then becomes our vehicle that we sit in when we pass out of the physical realm into the whatever happens after you die, with the consciousness intact. That's what Taoism promises. That's its big goal, if you like, beyond enlightenment. Messing around, these guys, they're serious about it. And we are now entering that realm, the realm of the spirit, let's call it. And that's why I call this sequence spirit restorative. The world, and we lose our energy. This is to restore that. The spirit itself doesn't need any restoring because it's perfect. It doesn't live in this world of yin and yang. It's whole already. With our true nature, back into the spirit that gets squished and damaged and constricted. So what we're doing here for each of us back into the big presence. And we're specifically this week doing it with a view to pumping up, as I put it, your purpose and we'll get to purpose in a second. And I doubt, though, anyone's really ever considered direction as something susceptible to pumping up, like a dance routine. You know, we just say it and take it for granted. Yeah, you need a different direction, or I need direction. And we think we know what it means. But when you stop and look at it, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Because when we say you need a direction, it implies a straight line to be found between where you perceive yourself to be now and where you imagine you'd like to be. This is running on the linear model. However, that is a construct, the linear model. It's one of the devices we use as when we're stuck in the front cell. Because in existence, there are actually no straight lines. They don't exist. Everything is in orbit. Everything is circular. Everything spins. If you extend any apparently straight line long enough, you'll find that it's actually part of a very massive circle. The linear is really just a device we use to make sense of the process of things evolving all around us. And that's the clue to what's really going on. It's going on all around us. And that's looking at it through the 3D lateral view. And in that view, which is, I will say empirically, you don't have to take my word for it, but it's the actual what's going on here, the lateral. There's you in the middle of a series of concentric spheres. And a sphere or two out, so to speak, houses the new, as yet, unmanifest reality that you want. So you becoming the you want to be, so to speak, occurs by expanding into that bigger sphere that houses that reality. This Wu Wei, meaning effortless manifesting game, consists in determining a broad enough based intention then to encompass the desired experience and all the requisite factors, elements, and resources to facilitate and support that experience in the most compatible style, unique style for you. And think about it, it is an experience that you're talking about. You know, if you want a new house, you know, it's not really the bricks and stuff that you want, it's the experience of being in that house. If you want a love affair with a person, it's not the skin on their body and the flesh of their body in itself, you know, or the kindness or the joy or the sorry, no, that's not the right thing. It's not their physical doing and being somehow. It's the experience of being around their physical doing and being. That's what we're looking for, is experience. That's all we have. That's what we do. We experience things. Now, intention, they called it Yi, as in Xingyi, one of the martial arts of Taoism, like intention boxing, is, the Taoists say, a force as strong and as real as steel. Once set in motion, it actually then expands you into that sphere of activity and operations, so that before you know it, that becomes your actual reality on the ground in real time as well. So we're eschewing that usual Western linear approach to achieving or manifesting things of, I'm at point A, that's at point B, how do I get from here to there, or get from what's over there back over to me here? This is not that. This is an actually much truer model. We're moving into a bigger sphere of being, and in so doing, expanding large enough to encompass the as yet unmanifest reality that we want, which is encoded the experience we're after. So the key here is determining what your intention is, not making it up. It's being quiet enough to hear, what am I really intending? As I say, mine is really simply that everything evolves now and transpires from this point with supreme elegance, beyond my ken, smoothness, seamlessness, and magnificence. It has taken me till this point in my life to get that simple. So I don't suggest it happens just like that, but I can say it will save you a lot of time if you can get it to that point, because it works much better once it gets that simple. And this is where purpose comes in. See, it looks like purpose is something very complicated and complex, something quite serious. It has to be something really worthy. What's my purpose on the planet? What am I here to do? What's my message? What have I come here? Well, please let me shortcut that whole issue and tell you exactly what the Tao told me directly one day in my ear during a very powerful vision quest that I was on. When I asked it, Tao, what is my purpose here? What am I doing? I think I was about 35 at the time. And you can argue with this, if you will, but eventually you'll probably come around to agree. I don't know. It's up to you. It said to me, young Barefoot, your one and only purpose here is to enjoy it. It took me by surprise. It was so profound and so powerful. And I knew it didn't mean, it wasn't inferring frivolity. Oh, it wasn't that kind of enjoyment. You could include that if you had to. It means the deep, profound enjoyment of loving being alive in each and every moment, no matter how painful it is, how totally different it is to how you think it should be, just simply because you're privileged to experience the greatest gift of all, existence. It means knowing that you are an expression of the Tao in human form. Now, that's not fanciful, that's not pie in the sky, that's not something, well, you know, that's irrelevant. It's crucial and fundamental to the experience of being human. That's who you are. And obviously, if you go along with that, because I don't want you to believe what I'm saying, just listen, decide for yourself, the Tao would not manifest itself as you and get you to go through all the incredible amount of stuff you've gone through, expressing it, learning about it, feeling it. It wouldn't have done so for any other reason than for you to enjoy it. So it can enjoy itself through you. The Tao, I would presume, is not a masochist. The Tao has not burst forth into a manifest multiverse to experience just pain. That's not what it's about. It's done that because it just is thrilled being, and that thrill goes bang and becomes a universe. It's certainly not even for your soul to learn lessons, as some sticks in the mud suggest. That happens anyway. Of course you're going to learn lessons. It's to enjoy it so that the Tao enjoys it through you. This then naturally extends without effort into becoming a mission, if you feel that you need a sense of mission, which is just naturally, spontaneously spread your joy like a contagion. Now, joy does spread like a contagion. You don't have to make it do that. And because the more joyful people there are in your orbit, and therefore by extension around the world, the sweeter the world will be for everyone. And more importantly, the more the Tao gets to enjoy itself through more and more people. And when the Tao is enjoying itself, it smiles at all of us a lot more. And we need a lot more smile from the Tao right now. So it's this purpose that actually informs your direction, your intention. You're moving in the direction of your growing enjoyment of being alive. Now, with that as your rudder, you can't fail. It is impossible. Once you've set that intention in motion, which is really just agreeing to it, the mechanics of existence do all the rest for you. And that is the fun of the game. It doesn't mean you become a lazy so-and-so and do nothing. You get on with loads of stuff. The more of this that I'm getting, the more stuff I'm able to produce. But it does leave you free to do what your real work is, which is producing things that bring you and everyone that they interact with more enjoyment at the deepest level. So your direction is really merely towards a scenario whose tone and coloration and flavor you determine. And then you simply sit back and allow your inner impulses to prompt you to do this or do that, and you do it, and it leads you to it. And then everything you need to know will be revealed to you in good time. So you don't have to guess what's going to happen. You don't have to worry or fear or even get excited about what's going to happen. You can stay present and merely be excited just to be here, which is a lot more reliable because it won't let you down because you're here. So when you can't see the actual turning ahead to take off the road, it's because you haven't got there yet. When you get close enough that you need to know, there'll be a sign. The main thing is you know you're headed to where the big bright light is shining up ahead. And you keep your eye on that, so that no matter the bends in the road, the hills and the dales that obscure the view, you just have to navigate old school style by staying focused on that bright, beautiful light emanating from that sphere that contains the new desired reality. It's like navigating by the stars, by the sun. So the spirit, as I was saying, the eternal aspect of you, sits in serenity in the back of you, rear of the side seams. And the local self, the noisy local self, sits in the front, getting all hot and bothered about things, not serene. The trick is to thrust back inside and sit in the back so that you merge with the spirit, with all its limitless awareness and powers. Thence, you take command of the front and everything rolls far more smoothly thenceforth. From the back, you determine your intention and you activate it by visualizing the sphere containing the desired experience and visualizing expanding into that sphere and vice versa. That's how you find your direction, or rather, more precisely, how it finds you. And that is how we pump it up. So take this opportunity now to give yourself the gift of letting go of everything. That is, stop holding your breath, let the breath go, and allow yourself to start breathing slowly and fully. Let yourself be fed by the inhalation. Don't be mean with yourself. Give yourself a full, generous in-breath. And then to facilitate the same thing happening next time, breathe out fully as well. And as the air comes in and feeds you with the next moment of life, as well as being grateful for that, feel your belly rise. And as the air goes out again to make room for the next breath to come in, the next moment of life, as well as being grateful, feel your belly drop. So there's this rise on the in-breath and it drops on the out-breath. Now the breathing is the only autonomic function that you can intervene with such effect and so obviously. It's much harder to slow your heartbeat down, and that's about it. So it's a remarkable tool that we have, that we can actually intervene in such a crucial, the most crucial, autonomic function of the body. Revel in that privilege now, just breathing in and breathing out, and allowing the breath to feel like silk, like a very, very fine nectar, invisible nectar, imbued with consciousness and life. And as you do this, notice that your body is asking you, may I relax more now? May I relax more? And you say, yes, body, you can. And as you do that, feel your body sigh a sigh of relief. And all the tension, all the muscle groups from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, sigh relief with it and soften. So the rigidity, the tendency to grip dissipates and the body softens. All the muscles, your face, your head, your shoulders, your neck, your upper back, your chest, your middle back, your upper belly, your lower back, your lower belly, the buttocks, the pelvic floor, the genitals, the legs, all the way down the arms, all the way down the legs, into the hands and the fingers and the feet and the toes, all the way into the very bone marrow is softening. And you're breathing slowly and you trust it. And so that you don't keel over, visualize that just above the crown of your head is a very powerful, small, condensed ball of super bright white light, spinning about a golf ball size in a clockwise direction, approximately 1 inch or whatever it is, 5 centimeters above the crown of your head. And the magnetic power of this light is drawing your spine upwards. It's lengthening your spine. It's urging it to lengthen itself like a snake being charmed out of a basket. And get a sense of being elevated the weight of the body sinks down through the hips, through the buttocks, through the feet, into the floor. So you're fully rooted here on the planet, yet the upper part of your body feels absolutely elevated. Your consciousness feels elevated, yet anchored in material reality. And your shoulders have dropped, your shoulders feel broad, so you can experience a much broader expanse of sensation of being alive. And still we're in the front, we're still referenced to the world. So now take this opportunity, this privilege, this luxury of sitting back in the rear part of you. Visualize that your shoulder blades, the front of your shoulder blades that is, the front of your spine and rear pelvic bones, sacrum, comprise the back of your throne. You're the queen, you're the king of no matter what, and this is your throne. You know how kings and queens are. They sit right back, with the back of their head resting on the back of the throne. They don't lean forwards. That indicates a loss of power to their visitor. They always stay back and maintain their regal dignity. You do the same. Sit back into your throne. To help you do this, imagine that you could breathe in through every pore in your skin, in the whole of the front of your body and your face. And you're breathing in through every pore of your skin, through the face and the front of the body, all the way into the back. And then you're breathing out from your back, forwards and out again through every pore of the skin, in the front of your body, your throat, your face. And as you breathe in and you breathe the breath back into the back of you, that motion pulls you back into your back and makes you feel the back of the throne. And it reminds you, I am the queen, I am the king of no matter what. And every time the breath goes out from your back through the front, that forward motion is a little bit like when you're taking off in a plane and the acceleration creates G-force, gravitational force, which thrusts you back into your seat. So as you breathe out, that forward motion of the breath thrusts you back like a plane thrusts you back in the seat. You breathe in and you come back, you breathe out and you come back even more. And become familiar with that. Don't make effort with it. Just very lightly feel this sense of, yes, this is my back. I'm entitled to sit here. This is my home. It's okay. The world seems to be going on fine without me being in the front. I'm breathing, everything very relaxed. And your mind, the place from which you're observing stuff, instead of it being in the front of the brain, busy with that conversation about, is this all right? Am I doing okay? And all the rest of it. Allow that the luxury of sinking it into the back of the brain. And up, you'll notice by leaning up against the rear wall of the skull, just like it's the inside of a cave, at the back of a cave, somebody has most thoughtfully placed a wonderful, huge pile of the most gorgeous, sumptuous, beautifully coloured, constructed, fine cushions. Just so that when you sit back on them and lean back into the rear wall of the cave, it feels supremely comfortable. And here you sit, like a wee Buddha, but with your face on, serenely smiling at the joy of just being in the back of the cave, supported by this fantastic psychophysical energy force all the way through your back, your presence. And this is your immortal spirit body. This is your true nature. This is the witness bearer, the eternal self, the all that is looking through your eyes. The final touch is to open your heart in the front. Hard to open the heart when you're in the front because it's all a bit confusing and gets a bit gushy and sentimental, but from here, this beautiful transpersonal space, opening the heart is a joy and it's clear. You visualize the breastbone split in two and separating like a pair of sliding doors to reveal what you might want to visualize as some cluster of precious jewels, rubies and garnets and so on, surrounded in a haze of rose gold light, emanating the most gorgeous, sweet, rose-like fragrance, symbolizing your heart center, the locus of the incredibly gorgeous, ineffable beauty of your soul, as it gives its gift of joy to all comers. This is where you're expressing the love of being alive. And even if you have pain and you're not used to this kind of thinking, this way of using the consciousness, you might just want to say to yourself, you don't have to believe this, just say it a couple of times. Oh, I love being alive. I love life. I love this life. I love being here. I love being here. And feel that sensation, that feeling occurring in that cluster of jewels, so to speak, and activating some alchemical process which causes a radiance of joyfulness, of this love of being alive, to spread from you to everyone in the circle, so that everyone's touched by it. It's like a blessing. Like when you walk in the room, you go, hey everybody, with a beautiful smile, and everybody feels good. This is what you're doing with this. It's a, hey everybody, here's my love, here's my joy. Feel it, I'll share it with you. And also be humble and share, receive the love that everyone else is transmitting as well. And here you sit. Before we go any further, I want to do a quick protection, which is that you have a laser fine stream of light. Anyway, this is happening, and what we're going to do is activate it, shooting up the rear of your spine from the coccyx at the base all the way to the upper brainstem, and actually all the way up to the crown of the head. And from there it goes forwards over the top of the brain, behind the face, and down along the front of the spinal pathway, all the way back into your pelvic floor, whence it hooks back again and starts the upward motion through the back of the spine, thus causing an oblong loop of light that is referred to as the microcosmic orbit. This is the orbit of the entire universe. You know, this is the essence of orbiting. Every planet is orbiting it's all in orbit, and this is the essence of that orbit moving through you, the microcosm of you. And you can help it by, when you breathe in, you feel that light going up the back part, and when you breathe out, you feel that light going down the front part. And even if you just imagine it, this will work anyway. As it goes up the rear of you, it's strengthening you, it's imbuing you with power, and this power is refining the essence of who you are, making it, honing it, so that there's no wasted bits. It's fully streamlined and powerful. And as you breathe out and the light streams down the front, it's filling you and your whole surrounding with grace, the grace of acquiescing to the power of this cosmos, rather than deluding yourself into thinking you have to try and do something to it. So the grace of acquiescence, the grace of being that connects you to all that is good. And at the same time is purifying you of all the delusions and vanity and self-deception that would have us in a state of dis-ease, that would have us act out in destructive ways, en masse and individually. It purifies you of that. So the energy is moving up the back, the energy is moving down the front. And with each cycle of this energy, your spirit body, this essential you, is becoming more integrated, more protected, more powerful. Now, let all that go and just relax into your back. You feel the front going on. You've got your heart open, so you're connected to all humanity and indeed all sentient beings, and to the presence that informs them all. You're aware of all of it. You're sharing your love, the love of being here with everybody, and you're receiving the love of being here that's being transmitted by everybody and by the essence of everybody, the Tao itself. And as you sink further and further into your back, become aware that the presence that you are is much bigger and extra-dimensional than the physical self. It can't really be quantified in human measurement terms. It's huge. And the more you sink back, the bigger this presence that you are is perceived to be. Allow that process just to keep happening of itself. You gradually sink back more and more, and as you feel safe to do so, you go back more and more. And the more you sink back, almost as if you come out of your physical body altogether, the bigger the presence that is you seems to grow. And you're aware that around you are a series of concentric spheres, 3D circles. And there's the present sphere, the one that you're aware of, or have been rather up until now, as comprising your life. And then there's another sphere out from that, and another sphere out from that, bigger and bigger, all concentric, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next sphere out from where you are now, within touching distance, contains within it the reality that you want. It contains the experience, the sequence of experiences, the complex of experiences that you want. Now, you do not have to expend any energy trying to determine what you want right now, because we know what you want. You want life to be more and more and more beautiful in every single respect, from the deepest to the most superficial level, from the middle to the sides, from the back to the front, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. You want your life to be more and more and more beautiful. And you, with your local, well-developed as it may be, intellect, have not the capacity to envisage what unlimited beauty is, because we limit reality. So allow the essence of beauty itself, which is the Tao, to determine how that is going to look for you. And trust that it is not an idiot, it's not illiterate, it understands every word you say, and you don't have to be superstitious about it pulling a trick on you, because the Tao doesn't trick us, it's us that trick us. When you're clear, everything's clear. Allow the Tao to determine what this is going to look like for you. However, you will get glimpses, because as I said, it does show you what you need to know when you need to know it. No straining, but you might want to take note of any glimpses of any little detail that occurs. It might be a golden book lying on a table. It might be a shaft of light coming through a window. It might be the leaf of a tree waving in the wind outside the window. It might be the smell of frangipani in the summer air. It might be the hint of a smile from somebody who loves you. It might be looking at a screen of your internet banking and seeing that you suddenly got a huge amount of money in there that you didn't expect to have. Or it could be anything, I don't know. Don't try and see these things. But if you do see anything, take some kind of note of it. But much more important than that, be aware of the color and the quality of the light, of the flavor, the tone, of the sound of this experience, the smell of it, the taste of it, the feel of it. Get a sense of its tonality and resonate with that tonality through that cluster of jewels in your heart. Let that cluster of jewels be like the loudspeaker that you're listening to the music through and that vibrates with the music. Get that sense of the resonance, the tone of the experience in this expanded sphere reverberating in your heart, so that you're breathing it in and out, and your love for being here now includes the love for being here with all of that. And you're still in your back, and you're still bigger and bigger, and you've noticed that you've expanded big enough that you now encompass this entire new sphere with all the experiences lying in waiting for you that this sphere contains. And you know that all experiences are determined by the phases of yin and yang. So you know it's all going to be sweet and everything's great and it's all just light and all the rest, because that does not exist and would make for a very dull experience. You know that life is going to have its intensity, and you also know that your ability to accommodate all of it as it becomes more and more to your liking, more and more in harmony with your heart's desire, your ability to accommodate all the moves that are going to occur is going to increase exponentially. Your ability to accommodate the experience of being alive is expanding, and the tone in which you will experience it all is able, therefore, to become warmer and softer and more grateful, more gracious, more acquiescent, and more beautiful, sweeter. It's going to sing more and more. Now, in this sphere in which you are now already, in fact, experiencing the new reality, even if you don't quite recognize it yet, but it does take a little linear time to get used to a new sphere, include all of our human brothers and sisters, all the elephants, seriously in danger of extinction, all our brother and sister elephants, and all sentient beings of all sorts, without exception, including the people that are really messed up at the moment and doing awful things, especially including them. Include everybody in it. Everybody. Let everybody be included in your sphere, but only on the condition that they surrender and acquiesce to this beautiful healing energy coming out of your heart. No one is allowed in your sphere if they're not ready to acquiesce to this beauty, this love of being alive. And this filter will work. It will work. So include all humanity in your love and be the angel, the archangel, with me, all of us, holding hands all the way around, circle, around the planet, in the ether, in this bigger dimension. And around the planet you can see the sphere, this new sphere that contains this totally new experience, not just for you, me and everyone here, but for everybody. This experience includes a waking up to the more sensitive, more sensible, more cooperative, collaborative, supportive, life-affirming force within all of us, so that we can collectively evolve to the next quantum leap and pull our immeasurable, unfathomable ingenuity to negotiating this next passage of history together in a beautiful way. Let the resonance of that ring through the psychic air between us all here. And know that this is who you are, this is where you are, and remain there, of course, and simply allow however much awareness is required to be present inside the physical form here in this illusion of the time-space continuum on the planet, ready to begin the next phase of this incredible adventure. And specifically for this Q&A section or sector of the satsang, where you are more than welcome. I invite you to ask any question that you want to ask or make any comment that you want to make. And I tell you what, I didn't mention, this is a first. In 4 years, this is the very first time that I have ever been in the same room as producer Sue Ducrew. We are actually in Leeds, in her place, together, for the first time in 4 years doing satsang, and it's quite a novel experience. So from the other end of the room, I think she is now going to come in and tell you exactly how to do the do, and we'll get into the Q&A section. Over to you, Sue.
Hello. Well, it appears that we have absolutely no questions, so I think everybody's just been enjoying the satsang, Stephen.
Well, I certainly did. It's been gorgeous having you here. I do say that over these next few days, you will, if you notice, have a clearer sense of direction. You will, and you will feel that purpose of, like, it's so simple. I love being here, and the joy that comes from that. I love being here. It will take care of everything for you. So when you find yourself up against it, which we all get a lot, you know, it's a tough world, this one. At those moments you find yourself up against it, drop back for a second and just remind yourself, I love being alive. I love it. Even when it's really shitty, I love being alive. And that love for being alive will carry you through, and it will make everything work out beautifully, and you will have all the power of all of us that have come together here supporting you through time, and it's going to be an amazing week. Come back next week. It's going to get better and better. Thank you for being here. I love you, and goodbye.
Coming home, that's what you want. Coming home is what you wanted all the while. Back to this place where you've always been free. Back to this place where you can't fail to see everybody and everything is one.